Well, hello there, folks. Good evening, and welcome back to the Masters Championship. Tonight, it is going to be just a wee preview and a wee predictions run for Season 7, as it says in the title of the stream. This is pretty much just going to be me and the person who is joining me in this. We're just basically going to talk about it and say who we think is going to be contenders, who's going to be in the relegation, who's going to be dark horses, sort of thing, what team's going to win constructors, all that sort of malarkey. But before I do tell you who is joining me in this discussion, I want to make an announcement that nobody else knows apart from the two people that I spoke to. So as you all know, I am the admin for TMC, but there's going to be two people that are going to help me run the whole of TMC, and the first one is going to be Scuba MUFC, and the second one's going to be Timo Race Driver. So me personally, I think these two guys do deserve it because they are passionate about racing. They've been at TMC a long time. They know how TMC's run on a daily basis. They have very good ideas on how to make TMC better. But yeah, in case none of you know what a co-admin role is, it's basically going to be anytime I'm not here, Timo and Scuba, if you want to talk, if you can't get through to me, speak to them too, and they'll try and help the sort of situation. They'll also be in contact with me on a daily basis, so it'll be like a full big circle sort of thing of what's going to happen. Like on race days, if I'm not available, and you're wondering, oh, do we restart a race? Do we wait for someone? All that sort of thing. Whoever is in that lobby with you, it'll either be Stephen or it'll be Timo. Just contact one of them who's in the lobby with you, and they'll pretty much tell you if they think it's suitable enough to literally wait about 5 minutes or wait for someone to come in. Then we will do it, or if race needs to have a safety car restart, all stuff like that, they will make all them decisions. So it's pretty much a bit of a promotion for them too, and I don't really think anybody will argue too much about that. The two of them do deserve it. But moving on to who actually is joining me tonight, it is, as I said, one of the co-admins. It is Timo. Would you like to say hello, Timo?
Yeah, Dan, thanks for having me. Hello, lads. Thanks for a nice, kind intro, for a nice words there. I also want to say thanks a lot also to you, Dan, and to the committee. You guys gave me the chance to run TMC with Scuba and you, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a passionate racer. I love TMC. I want to bring TMC in the right direction, and I have a lot of ideas to improve it. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to Season 7 and can't wait to get started actually. So let's bring that on the way.
Yeah. So pretty much as me and team, we're just pretty much going to start this whole predictions, because if I don't, we're going to be here all night, and I don't really think me and team will want to be here all night considering the fact F1 2019 is out and we both have the game, so we want to just crack on with that and get a bit of practice in. So first off, we are going to start with Division 3 because as it is basically the third division of TMC, so I'll go from Division 3 up to Division 1. So at the minute, just before I quickly get my list up here, because me, as you know, I always come unprepared, but I have the list here in front of me. And the first team for Mercedes, as you all know, is Extreme and Damien. Me personally, I think this is probably going to be the strongest team for the constructors, and I'm pretty sure Timo will agree with me that like Damien and Extrema came from Division 2 down to Division 3. Got a few pole positions in Division 2 as well, as Timo will mention you, because he was in Division 2 last season. And the bad thing about Extrema is that he gets caught up in too many incidents and maybe gets too many penalties. But I think if he knocks these out of his game, he will be one of probably the main guy to beat in Division 3. What would you say, Timo? Would you agree with me on that there, or what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. Extrema, he's a quick driver. As you say, he needs to sort out his driving when he's in battles, when he's racing somebody on track. He needs to leave more space. He maybe has to consider a lot better race strategy, maybe not starting on the softest tire maybe and spinning out in lap 5. Maybe doing a little bit more practice and testing tire wear, etc. Maybe he will be a lot more successful then in the next season. As for Damien, he did actually very well last season in Division 3, or in Division 4, the old Division 4. So a few decent results. I'm very interested to see what he can do. And as for the team Mercedes, I think they will be in a good shout for this constructors title. Maybe, let's see.
Yeah, like Damien, I believe he did get promoted to, I can't remember if it was Division 2 or Division 3, but he was...
yeah, Division 2, that's true, yeah.
He was in Division 2 for a bit, but he didn't really... attend much races, but when he did attend, he was performing at a very good level. I did think myself. So as we were saying, I do think that Extrema and Damien will probably be the main contenders in the Division 3 this season, which it's going to be interesting to see, because even if it does come to team orders, I don't know who's going to be number 1 and who's going to be number 2. At the minute, on paper, you would look at Extrema just based on last season's performances or last season's pace, as I believe he is a quicker driver, but more consistent will be Damien. So it's a tough one to say. Who would you say, in your opinion, team will be number 1, and if so, do you think team orders will be applied?
I think when I see the names in this team, I think Extrema will be number 1. But if he's caught up in too many incidents, Damien could be the more consistent driver to bring home the points. So it's no point to be quick, but don't bring home the points. If you're quick in quali and DNF or get P12s in the race, that's not the best thing to help your teammates. So it will be interesting to see how that unfolds there in this team. So I'm very looking forward to that, how they will handle and manage all their stuff at Mercedes. So will be very interesting.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting. But yeah, Mercedes probably at the minute will be bang all favourites for the constructors. But we'll move on to Ferrari and Timo. You like to introduce these two?
Yeah, we've got Wimmersin and Lutsch there. It's a German name. He's called Lutschbirne, so as for the pronunciation. They actually got with 2 other names called Asim and Azerus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. As for these 2, they used to race in the old Division 4, which Graham commentated. So Lutschbirne was a front runner in that division, I think. So he has a little bit of pace, and I think he can compete towards the front in this Division 3. Let's see, top 5s, top 7s, maybe fight for a few podiums. As for Wimmersin, he's a German as well. I think these 2 are German friends as well. So they have a good car. They have the Ferrari. I hope they make the most out of it due to setups, due to the overall package, the performance they have. And I think also Wimmersin will be up there fighting for top 5s, top 7s. And they will also be a good shout for front runners in Division 3, I think.
Yeah.
What about you?
I 100% agree with that. There, it's basically just going to all depend on attendance for me personally, because I do know that Wimmersin, he's raced here before and he has shown that he's a decent driver. Like, don't get me wrong, he's quick enough foul driver, but whether he can keep the consistency up and race every week. As for Lutsch, I can't really remember too much about him, and if he does see this, I do apologise, but I can't. But I hope that I know you and Wimmersin are good friends in real life, so I hope that you two do push each other on to help you battle for the constructors, because like, looking at the rest of the teams, like we did say that Extreme and Damien is going to be probably favourites for the constructors, but there's quite a few other teams in there that might actually match them, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, as for the 2 Ferrari boys, hopefully if they keep it clean this season, that they'll be 100%, and if they don't get too many incidents, I think the both of them should do well. But that's pretty much going to round it out for Ferrari, because we don't really know too much about them. But we'll move on then next to Red Bull. Red Bull is going to be from Bomber Sampha 12 and DJ Williamson. Now this is a bit of a strange partnership now, because Division 3 or Division, I can't remember what it was, Division 3 last season, yeah, Bomber, he couldn't race many races because just of personal life and all that there. But when he did race, Bomber's the sort of guy that he mightn't score high finishes, but he's always consistently at the bottom half. He's always consistently around about 9th or 10th. So if he keeps them consistency up, and like with some of the drivers in here, you never know, Bomber actually could be one of the front runners. We just don't know what everybody's going to be like in this season. But as for DJ Williamson, he is a quick driver, and I do think that he would be one of at least 4 drivers or 5 drivers that would be up for the battle for the championship. What would you, Timo? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I have to agree. As for Bomber, he was my teammate in the Red Bull in season 4, where I got promoted back to Division 3 at the times there, where I was racing in Division 4. So Bomber, if he gets his pieces together, I think he will be contender for points finishes. So if he can keep it clean, if he can stay away from incidents, if he actually qualifies. So special about Bomber, he rarely took part in a quali session last season, Division 3, so he preferred to start from the back. Maybe he can sort out that quali to start a little bit higher up the field and higher the chance to get a good result in the race. So that would be very good to see. As for DJ Williamson, he was a quick driver in the old Division 4 last season, so he was challenging for top 5s and podiums, so I think he will be up there as well this season. So, as you said, a few drivers there could be challenging for podiums, for top 5s, and I think DJ Williamson will be one of those drivers.
Yeah, I do think so myself, but the next team is Force India, Timo, so we will move on to Force India.
Actually, Racing Point now it's called this season.
That is true.
Albin Anderson and Mercurial Caesar, also known as Caesar T-Pain. As for Caesar T-Pain, I think he will be one of the favorites for the title, actually. As I think next to Extrema, Mercurial Caesar, they will be going head-to-head pace-wise, I think. So, as for Extrema and Caesar, they are not the cleanest, as we mentioned. They need to sort out a little bit of the driving, need a little bit cleaner. Yeah, and if they do so, I think they can have a very good season. As for Albin Anderson, he was very decent last season, Division 3, and I don't know how he is on this game, but I hope he will be also there in contention for points finishes.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Like, I raced with Albin Anderson last season, and I do know, like, if he enjoys the track very well, I do know that Albin, he could actually be a sneaky contender for a top 3, maybe even a wee promotion, as people are probably going to realise that promotion and relegation is back this season. But as for Division 3, you don't really get relegated, so promotion for them it'll be, but that is back this season. And I think Albin Anderson, if he keeps it clean, he doesn't have SH this year to help him, which was
Yeah.
one thing I found really big last season, is because them two, they were both really, really good friends and communicated an awful lot. But it's going to be interesting now to see without him, because I don't think Miracle Caesar is the sort of person that would speak to his team yet. So it's going to be kind of like two individual drivers driving in one team instead of an actual two drivers driving for the team sort of thing. So I don't know. I think if I had to choose between the two of them and who I think would perform better, I would say if Caesar TPN's lag doesn't play a part, I think he will probably be the main driver in Racing Point. Like, don't get me wrong, Albin Anderson's he's a decent driver, clean driver, quick and all, but it's just Caesar TPN, people say he's not consistent. He actually is consistent after racing him last season. He is a consistent driver and he's always up there. It's just his lag plays the big part. But if he can sort that out, I think he will be probably one of the front runners as well. So Racing Point will be an interesting one, because I think with the lineup they've got, them two, and maybe I'm looking at it here now, there's maybe one or two more teams that I think can challenge Mercedes for the constructors this season. So it's going to be an interesting one. But I don't know. I don't really know if I can say any more about that. It's just going to have to wait and see about them two. But the next team is going to be Williams, and that is going to be TMC, Stevie G, as he's now changed his name to, and Ali. So Ali has now come back after taking a season out. So this is going to be I think a good partnership, because these two guys are very, very clean, very consistent. Both of them turn up every single week to a race. I can barely remember the two of them actually missing a race, unless there was a legitimate reason as to why they couldn't race. So these two will always be consistently in either the top. Well, these two will probably be from about 7th to 4th, or maybe from 7th to 10th. Them two will always be in that sort of bracket. Like, that's just the way they are. They're just drivers that are always just consistent. And at the end of the day, Timo, consistency gets you points. And if they keep being consistent this season, God, you never know what's going to happen to them. Like, so it's going to be an interesting one now between them two. And I don't even know between them two who would even be a quicker driver either.
That's true, that's very true. And as you mentioned, the battle within the top 10. I think from P4 onwards, the top 10 will be very close next season, Division 3. And I think these two drivers in the Williams will be right in this mix. So I think Team CVG also came down from Division 2, and he had decent races there, I have to say for myself. He was very decent, got a few points, so he has has raced a few quick drivers last season, and I think in Division 3 he could do even better. As for Ali, he's returning after a little break, and I was racing him in Division 4 2 seasons ago, and he was a very good driver. So he was in contention for podiums, for top 5s, and if he gets that together in this game, I think that will be also a very interesting team to watch on track. So as for number 1, I can't really say that at this stage. It really comes down to consistency. I hope Ali has no leg issues anymore, as he's a little bit on the other side of the world, I have to say. So it will be very interesting to see what these guys can do, and I hope they can do very well.
Yeah, I hope they can do very well as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how them two perform this season. But the next team, Timo, is Toro Rosso.
Toro Rosso, that's it. We have SJ Mella and LKT Wreck. So SJ Mella, that's an interesting one because he was also racing in Division 4 and he has challenged the likes of Kieran Trapp there. Kieran Trapp, we all remember, he has come up to Division 1. He's a very good driver. And SJ Mella, I think he could challenge for the championship or even at least for promotion or for the championship because he was very decent. He did fight his former teammate Kieran Trapp there for the title. So SJ Mella will be a one to watch for the front as well. As for Wreck, I've seen not much from him. I think he's towards the back, I have to say, midfield, maybe in contention for P9s, P10s. So his pace last season was not the best, but I think if he stays away from incidents, if he qualifies well, he could do very. I don't know how he is in this game, so it still needs to. It still remains to be seen. But he could prove me wrong. But for now, for the preview, I think he will be a midfield runner.
Yeah.
Right. So what about you?
I would agree with that 100%. I think SJ Mella, I think SJ Mella would probably be the closest contender to Extrema if Extrema gets his act together and actually starts putting in consistent performances. If he doesn't, then I think SJ Mella will run away with it. So it will be interesting. SJ Mella's not the best qualifier, but he's a very, very good racer. He's very, very clean, very consistent. Like, he'll always put his car up in a good position if people are making mistakes and all. And as you were saying about Division 4, like, he was battling Kieran Trapp, and Kieran Trapp won Division 4 due to it finishing early. But like, them two were teammates, and Kieran Trapp, like, I think Extreme at the start had the better of Kieran Trapp, but then as soon as it comes to like the second half of the season, Kieran Trapp was just absolutely blowing him out of the water. And then SJML decided to take a break and recuperate, and he's back this season. So it's going to be an interesting one to see them two perform. And as for Rec, I do agree with you. I think Rec, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to be honest with every driver in this wee prediction that we're doing. I think Rec would probably be one of the lower half of the field. Like, it's not to do with the fact that he's slow. I think it's the fact that he DNFs quite a bit, and there's times that he can't make races, which throughout the course of a season will take its toll on him, and he'll not score as much points from it. So I think he'd probably be one of the bottom ones, and I think SJML will be one of the top ones. So it's going to be interesting to see how Toro Rosso perform. I think SJML will be scoring most of the points this season for Toro Rosso, but you never know. Rec could prove me wrong and score a couple of points for Toro Rosso. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. As we move on to the next team, which is Haas, and these two who will be driving it will be Karl Metz, One, and Who's Loaded. As for Who's Loaded, he joined last season, a bit late I think, so it's a quite new driver. He started in Division 2, now came down to Division 3, and I haven't seen much from him, so keep it calm, just do your stuff, qualify well, avoid the incidents, and you will get points. I wish you all the best, Who's Loaded, and I hope you enjoy racing in TMC. As for Karl Metz, I see him challenging 4 points. I think a good top 6, top 7 result towards the top 10, within the top 10. I think that would be a good result for him. He was racing Division 2 last season. I think he will enjoy Division 3 a lot more, as he can challenge within the pack, there, and have good fights, I think. So these two will be in the Haas. So what about you?
Yeah, I think Karl Metz is probably going to be. He will be a very consistent driver this season. He's pretty much, Karl Metz reminds me of Graham. He's the sort of driver that's always consistent. Like, you don't really see Karl Metz making too many mistakes unless he's caught up in an incident, and you don't really see him like making too many mistakes with strategy. Like, he's got that sort of head in him when he knows when to go for it and when not to go for it. So I think that to do it this season. Yes, these guys are probably the lower division. The racing may not be the best, but I think if Karl Metz is able to avoid them incidents, which will probably not be no fault of his own, don't get me wrong, he might make any mistakes, he might make some mistakes, just don't know, but if he's able to avoid them, I think Corn Mids could be. He could be battling for P5, P6 in the championship, maybe even a wee bit higher. I don't know what way it is. But as for who's loaded, I think his name now is Captain Chunky. I think that's what his name is.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong, because I think he said to me something about he get locked out of his account or something. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I need to take a look after this and see. But yeah, as you were saying, like, he just needs to keep his head, just keep consistent, just focus on himself. Don't worry about anybody else. And with more practice, I think he could be up there. Like, Who's Loaded was brought in by Scuba, which fair play to Scuba for bringing in a good driver that's actually turning up every week. So fair play to him, and all credit to him. I appreciate it. But I think with a bit more guidance for who's Loaded, I think you never know if he gets the right guidance. If Corn Mids is able to speak them and lead him in the right track, these two could be. You never know. It could be a wee dark horse team. We just don't know what way it's going to work out. But I do hope Haas this season do put out some strong performances, because going from what we've seen in some videos of 2019 so far, the Haas actually doesn't look like a bad outcure, so hopefully these two can show good performances for that this season. But the next team is Renault, and this team is, I think personally for me, is going to be the closest team to battle Mercedes, and that is PFC Steve and Awesome Dude. Like, I raced with these two last game. Like, PFC Steve he's not bad. Like, PFC Steve has a bit of pace about him on his day, don't get me wrong, he does. But the thing is about PFC Steve is he's consistent, and at the end of the day, consistency does mean points, and the higher points he scores, like with all these guys here, like I think PFC Steve around here would be third quickest behind Extrema and SJ Mella. So I think if he can capitalise on that, I think, you never know, I think PFC Steve could be a dark horse shout for the title. And I also think Awesome Dude as well. Like, people are probably going to laugh and saying, oh, Awesome Dude's going to be battling for the championship, but I'm telling you now, Awesome Dude is not as bad as people make out to be. I think he needs to work on the consistency a wee bit, because that probably was what lacked him last season, was the consistency, and maybe getting caught up in a few incidents. But some of them were no fault of his own. Like, it just happens in racing. But these two will talk to each other, as they have raced with each other a couple of seasons in TMC in the same division. So I think these two will talk quite a lot, and will end up putting like a wee stepping stone with each other. And I don't know. I think this is going to be the dark horse team for the constructors, and I also think these two would be also dark horses for the title. What do you think, Timo?
Yeah, I have to agree, absolutely. So I find it hard to say what they can do next season. So they have a little bit of pace, that's true, but will it be for top 5, top 10s, or even for podiums? So we don't know anything about the game, how the game will be, how the guys will go on with the game. So that's a dark horse team, the Renault, so I'm looking forward to them, as I'm actually doing the commentary for Division 3 next season. It remains to be seen. I think we need to have a look at the first two races, and see everybody's actual pace. So I think PFC Steve could be up there for top 5s, challenge for promotion. Awesome Dude maybe a little bit behind PFC Steve, but I think he could be also could be a good shout for points every race if he keeps it consistent, and a good quality is key as well, to have good basic lines, I say, for the race. So let's see what they can do next season. As I'm actually going on with Alfa Romeo, so that will be interesting, because that team is the returning TMC Tekken Cygate 2010. As for Tekken, he returned and came down to Division 3, so he will be very, very quick. I think he will be also challenging there with Extrema and Caesar. I think Tekken could be there for promotion, at least. As for Cygate, he did very well last season. He overachieved, did more than I expected, actually. So he had a few good races, and I think Alfa Romeo could be up there in constructors as well, as they have a very good lineup for the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Like, Tekken before he left wasn't actually too bad of a driver. Like, Tekken, yes, people criticise him about his cam, like how he runs that friggin' front wing, friggin' cam and all that crack. But at the end of the day, boys, it works for him, and Tekken is consistent. So I think Tekken could be he could also be a dark horse for the title as well. And Cygate, as you did say, he did overachieve last season. He did win the award for overachiever. So I do think that Cygate, you never know, Cygate could be battling for the lower half of the top 10. Or if he gets his actual guy, he could. Alfa Romeo will be solid enough this season. I think they should score a good handful of points, and nothing more can really say in it. So the last team then for Division 3 before we crack on with Division 2 is going to be Jake 04 and I Am Silas, which is also basically Sergeant Hitman. Now Jake, don't really know too much about. I think he came in for one or two, maybe even 3 races, and he done decent performances last season in Division 2. So if he comes down from Division 2 and comes to Division 3, he should be one of the top runners. So I can't really say too much about it. I just have to wait and see how he gets on, but hopefully he gets on alright. And as for Sergeant Hitman had a lot of DNFs last season, and that's one thing I hope that he takes out of his game this game, is because I really want to see Sergeant Hitman do well. I really want to see Sergeant Hitman scoring points on a consecutive basis. It's probably not going to happen, but he is trying to run he does run no assists, but I think for him, I know he probably wouldn't do it, but I think maybe it's a good idea maybe to put the assist back on, because it'll give you then more consistent performances. But if you're happy enough to run the assists off, hopefully then this game suits the way you drive, and maybe you're not scoring as much DNS, because I'm telling you now, if Sergeant Hitman scores if he scores a couple of points every now and again, you never know. It could help McLaren in the constructors. I don't think McLaren will win the constructors by any way, shape or form. They could be battling for 7th, 8th in the constructors, but points for these two will matter for the constructors anyway, and I really hope that the two of them do well. But what about you, Timo? What do you think?
Yeah, as for you, unfortunately I can't really say much about Jake. So he did a few races last season, but now when he races in Division 3, I think he could achieve a few top 10 results, maybe the higher half of the top 10. Let's see how that unfolds. I wish him all the best for that. And as for Sergeant Hitman or I Am Silas, first of all, he needs to sort out his DNFs. Yeah, just go on with your race. Just go on with your race with front wing damage, get a new wing, and continue. You don't know what happens with the safety car in this game, so it could be a lot different story in this game. So maybe you are miles behind and you can achieve a 7th or 8th place. So you never know what happens. Go on, and you could actually have a very good season. So that's for the McLaren boys and Division 3. So
that is Division.
Let's go on for Division 2.
We will indeed go to Division 2, and the first team we're going to start off with is again Mercedes, and that is Kirsten Kev and Tom Pretty, the returning Tom Pretty. Now, Kirsten Kev was Division 1 last season, and to be fair, he did show quite a bit of decent pace last season, and he has come down now because there is just the guys in Division 1 are just way too quick, and I do think he would be left behind just a wee bit. But I think Division 2 is a good strong point for him, and I think Kirsten Kev, people may disagree with me, but I think if he turns up every week, I think Kirsten Kev would be one of the main runners. He probably could be one of the main contenders for the title, because Kirsten Kev, he is very, very quick, and he puts in very good qualifying performances. Race performances now, he's not maybe as consistent, but I think this game he might work on his consistency, because he's been telling me that he's going to work on his consistency this game, and if he does, I'll tell you, he'll be a hell of a competitor to deal with. And as for Tom Pretty, Tom has come back. I was teammate for Tom for seasons in TMC, and me and Tom got on very well, but he left due to circumstances. But yeah, I think Tom will do well. People are saying Tom will struggle, but I don't actually think he will, because I think Tom might be a wee dark horse for maybe the lower half of the top 10. Me personally, like, I know he's probably going to watch this, but me personally, I don't think he's going to be fighting for podiums, and I don't think he'll disagree with me in saying that. But I think Tom could be fighting for the lower half of the top 10, and with Tom fighting for the lower half of the top 10 and Kirsten Kev fighting for the podium positions, you never know. It could actually put Mercedes in a very strong position for the constructors this season, so just have to remain to be seen. But yeah, I just do hope that the two of them do turn up every week and put in very consistent performances, because going through the rest of the list, like, people know what the lineup's like, but going through the rest of the list, like, the drivers in here, like, it's so hard to call who's actually going to win it. Like, it's just absolutely mental, and it's going to be mad to see who wins the constructors as well. But these two boys should be consistent and should be consistently scoring points, and I just hope the two of them do very well. And the next team, Timo, is Ferrari.
Yeah, next team is Ferrari. The team lineup there is TMC, Yarem, and SH. So SH, as we know, he challenged you last season in Division 3 for the title. He was very quick. He pushed you to your limits, and you had to get out everything off your car to secure that title. So SH will be very interesting to see what he can do in Division 2 next season. So I'm really looking forward to him, what he can do. As for Yarem, He's also very quick, and he could also there be fighting for top fives, podiums. So, and overall, if you have a look at the overall Division 2 lineup, it's so hard to predict, as you said. It's so close. I think overall Division 2 is the closest division, and Yaron will be up there for sure. As for SH, he will do very well in Division 2, I think as well. He showed good pace last season, and this season I think he should be also.
Yeah, I do agree with that 100%. Like Yorham last game, he was actually fighting low key at some races for the win in Division 2 last season, and it does show you that Yorham does have quite a bit of pace about him, because low key is a very, very quick driver. So I think Yorham will perform very well. I think Yorham will also be one of the front runners. Like well, realistically, you can't even say who's going to be a front runner and who isn't, like, because the grid is that damn freaking close that if you make one mistake, you're going to lose about 10 positions. That's how close it's going to be. And as for SH, as you said, I was battling him last season for the title, and he did push me. He did push me very, very well, and he is a very, very strong driver. He's very, very consistent. Like, he's an absolute bugger. Like, I'm telling you, if you think you're doing well, and then you're just like, right, SH is P6 or something like that. There, next thing you look behind you, and he's sitting there right up your gearbox, and you're just like, where the hell has he come from? Like, he's just so consistent. Like, even when I was battling for the title, I was like, right, P6 and all is enough. And then when I found out at the end of the race he finished P3, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, he doesn't stop finishing in the freaking podium positions, because he got so many podiums last season. Like, it was annoying. Like, it does show you that he is a consistent podium finisher. So it might be a bit harder for him this season though, with the level of drivers that are in. He mightn't get podiums every week, but I think he will get a couple of podiums this season. But it'll be interesting to see. And as for the constructors for the two of them, I think the two of them will do very, very well. Both of them, if they're both battling up towards the front, this team here could be probably the favourite, if not one of the favourites for the constructors this season. But do you have any more to add on that, Timo?
Yeah, it's a good shout. If they do very well and bring home consistent points, it will be up there in the constructors title, for the constructors title. Maybe in contention. I'm not sure about promotion. SH, he might be in the top 10. That would be very decent for him. Yaron fighting for the top 5 would be very well. So also SH, I have to say for myself, SH is a guy who never gives up. He always keeps pushing and tries to improve. So it will be very interesting to see what these guys can achieve next season.
Yeah, it will be. But the next team, Timo, is Red Bull. And would you like to go through Red Bull for me?
Red Bull, yeah, we have Kyle LD and Adamako, so not really a surprise these guys team up, as they are very good friends in real life. Kyle, we know he has come down from Division 1. He's a very quick driver. I think he's a little bit underrated, and I think he will be very quick in Division 2. So I don't know if I have to be afraid, so if I have a look at this overall lineup. But Kyle will be one of the guys who will be a challenge towards the front, I have to say for myself. As for Adam, he is Division 3 champion of 2 seasons ago, when he had a restart to Season 6. So Adam, let's see, he might be midfield challenging with the Haas boys. As we know, Focky and Synchronizer Adam, that was a very tasty battle. Last season, Division 3, a lot of incidents and drama. I had to commentate there, so let's see if this continues. But if Adamako sorts out a little bit of driving, he's involved in a little bit of incidents. He could be very up there for points, very decent, P7th, P8th, and fight in the top 10. So that would be my prediction for Red Bull. So what do you think for Red Bull?
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Like Adam, to be fair, Adam's maybe not one of the quickest, but he is a very consistent performer. So I think Adam will be consistently scoring points. And as for Kyle, like even Scuba told me as well, like Kyle is probably going to be the dark horse of Division 2, because Kyle, on his day, he is quick. Don't get me wrong, but the only problem was last season is, I think personally for me, I thought the ballast helped him. Although he did spend a lot in the ballast, so we don't know what it's going to be like, especially with no ballast this game, what way he's going to perform. But if Kyle does get his act together and does put in consistent performances, I'm telling you now, Kyle will be probably will be one of the favourites for the championship. It's going to be interesting to see the rivalry he's going to have this season with a lot of drivers, because there's going to be a lot of drivers this season that are going to have a massive rivalry. So I think these two will do very, very well in the constructors. And the next team we will go on to is the Racing Point Force India, which is basically Sway and Timo. So first off, I'll talk about this, and then I'll get Timo's thoughts on it. So first off, Sway. For me personally, Sway, he's not a good driver. He's going to get relegated. Nah, I'm way joking you. Nah, personally, I'm way joking you, Sway. Nah, I think Sway Sway for me is a quick driver, and he is consistent. The only problem is that he does tend to make a few mistakes, but as every driver does, like, you know, they do make a few mistakes. But nah, like, I've known Sway for quite a while, and I've raced with him at DNS and all as well last season. Like, he is quick, and he's roughly around my pace, if not maybe a tenth or two quicker. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sway actually performs this season. Like, because he was in Division 1 last season and was Green's partner. He wasn't performing, like, he couldn't really score much points because Division 1 was absolutely rapid. But Division 2 next season, with everybody being also similarly paced, I think Sway, to be fair, will be up there. He's been consistently fighting for top 5s, don't get me wrong, I think he will. And he might scrape a couple of podiums. Never know, Sway could also scrape a race win. We just don't know. He just doesn't. The problem with Sway is, me personally, I don't think he has the belief in himself. And he needs the belief, because if Sway believes that he is a good driver and is quick, Sway will score a lot of race wins. Like, that's just the sort of thing he is. What knocks him back is his confidence. So I know he is listening to this now. All he needs to do is literally just work on the confidence. Just believe that you're a quick driver, and that you know for a fact that you can win a race. And I'm telling you now, your performances will skyrocket. And as for you, Timo, I think you personally, you'll be top 10s every race. Me personally, you may not agree with me, but I think you will, because you're just consistent. You turn up every week, and you know that's all that matters. You don't really get too much penalties. You don't really get caught up in many incidents. So I think top 10s for you every week will be 100%, and I think you and Sway will be a very, very strong partnership this season, as you both were teammates before. You'll talk to each other off track. You talk to each other off track. You'll be in a party together, you know. So I think you two will do 100%, and I think you two will be absolutely fine. But what about you? What's your expectations for the season for yourself?
Yeah, we have become good friends, so it's no surprise that we want to bring up that partnership again. As for Sway, I think he's the Pink Panther #1. He will lead the team. I think he will be up there fighting for top 5s, maybe for a podium if he has a strong track. Maybe Canada is one of his best tracks. I hope he can achieve a podium there. So I really look forward to race with him. I hope we have a few battles on my strong tracks like Silverstone or Austria. I like Bahrain. I have a few good tracks. Yeah, I have to agree with you because my aim is really to fight for top 10s every race. But when I look back to last season, I have the feeling I will be in a huge relegation battle. And when I look at the lineup as well, so I don't hope that will be the case. I hope my season will be a lot more consistent, a lot better. I hope I enjoy racing a little bit more, because the last season was due to a few no-shows, due to work commitments or other stuff, internet issues. So I hope I will be up there, the TMC race P1 like season 5, where I achieved a P6 in the standings, and I hope I can bring that back. And I'm really looking forward to make Racing Point great again with Sway. Bro, we got this, and let's get a good season.
Yeah, I think the two of you will be perfectly. I think you two will be fine this season. You're a strong enough partnership, and don't really think it's too much to worry about. But the next team is Williams, and this is TMC Wesker and TMC Merck. Now these two pretty much have a lot of banter between each other. They take the absolute mick out of each other all the time in chats, in the party and everything, but they are good friends. Like, they do get on very, very well. And Wesker strongly believes that he is going to win the title next season, and he strongly believes that he's going to win races next season. Now, don't get me wrong, and I hate to say this, but I think Wesker will actually... People may laugh at me when I say this, but I think Wesker will actually score a podium or two the next season. Like, I'm not even joking you. I think he will. Because Wesker on his day is consistent. And, like, as I've said, one mistake from any guy in this field, you're dropping positions. And there's a couple of guys in here that could make mistakes. So, you know, Wesker will always be there to capitalise on what happens. I think this is probably one of the clean divisions where I don't really think you'll see too many incidents between drivers. You might just see an incident of someone just making a mistake themselves. but not actually two cars actually colliding with each other. I don't really think you'll see too many incidents like that there. But I think Wesker, I think this season will be fine. I think Wesker will consistently be top sevens. He might even score, as I said, he might score a couple of podiums or two. Like, you just never know. Race wins, me personally, I don't think he will. I don't think he's like. I know Wesker's quick, but I don't think he's quick enough to get a race win. But you never know. Safety car or something could help him. But as for Merck, I think Merck in Williams will be number one, because Merck does have that edge over Wesker. But I would say Wesker has the consistency, which is probably going to cause a bit of beef between me and Nemans because of what I said. But I think Merck has the initial one lap pace, but I think Wesker has the more race consistency, and I think the race consistency will help Wesker over Merck this season. So if Merck can sort out his race consistency this season, he will leave Wesker literally in a bit of a shadow, because with Merck's pace and then his consistency, like, Wesker's not really going to keep up with it. Like, but I'm not saying Wesker's a lot slower than Merck. There's maybe a tenth or two, maybe even just a wee bit more in it. There's not that much, like. So it will be close between the two of them this season. At the minute, you would say if it's based on race consistency from last season, you would say Wesker's number one. But I don't know. Me personally, I think these two are equal until after a couple of races. But I think these two will be strong in the season. They both will be top sevens every race. So I think Williams could be a strong team as well for the constructors. But what about you, Timo? Would you agree with me on that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think you absolutely nailed it there. Team Wesker, I think he's also a little bit underrated. So I have to say for myself, now in my new co-admin role, he gets a little bit of hate there in the chat. You're shit and you're slow, and people laughing at him. And he's telling me in the party it's annoying him, and I think that's why he wants to impress the press. He wants to shout at his critics there in the group chat. So I think that they all need to get calm and just wait and see what he can do. I think he will be very decent. So please, a little bit stop the spamming against Wesker. So I think he will be very well. So up there, top 5, top 7. As for Merck, if he can continue his great quali pace and sort out his consistency, he will be a strong man next season in the Williams. As we know, he was a little bit annoyed for Merck, for Wesker picking the Williams. But overall, I think they will be up there for P4, P5 in the constructors. So let's see what they can do next season.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Sorry.
No, I was just.
You wanted to say something?
I was just saying I agree with you 100% what you said.
All right. As we continue for the next team, which is Torosso, it's Team C, Weberg and Bert. So Weberg, he has come down from Division 1 as well. He struggled a little bit there, so he wasn't really Division 1 pace, but it was due to work commitments, I think. That's why he just could make that day in Division 1. As for next season, he's down there in Division 2, and he could be in a good shout for the top 10 finishes and actually do very well next season. As for Bert, he was the runner-up in Division 2, and he could be one of the favorites for the title, when, if not for promotion, or at least promotion. I think he is one of the promotion candidates. As for the title, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. We have to still wait and see how that unfolds with the game, how they can really challenge in the new game. But for now, I think this will be also a very strong team for next season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. I do think Weiberg will be fighting towards the bottom half of the top 10, I think, me personally. But I think Bert will be consistent. He will be a consistent podium finisher, because Bert is consistent. He was run up in Division 2 last season to Low-Key. Yes, Low-Key probably could have won by more because he didn't turn up like the last 3 races, but yeah, but Bert is a very quick driver. And me personally, I say Kirsten, Kev and SH are going to be underdogs for the title, but I think me personally, going in so far, I would say Bert's favourite for the championship. People may not agree with me, but I do think he is, because Bert's consistent and Bert is quick. Like, even in the last game before, when we did the last championship, the Classic Cars, he won the Classic Car Championship. I still haven't updated them tables, by the way, so I'd actually need to do that. But he did win the championship, and it does show you that Bert is a very, very quick driver and he is very consistent. And this game might actually suit him, so we just don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I think at the minute Bert would be favourite for the title, and I think Weiberg would get a top 10. So I think overall for the constructors, I think the two of them be 100%. I think they'll be fine. I don't know if they'll win the constructors, but they'll be fine. They'll be up around the top 4, top 5 in the constructors, I believe. Maybe even third. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And then the next team that we're going to move on again is the Haas boys, which is Synchronizer and Focky. Was such a weird coincidence that two of them ended up getting the freaking Haas. I don't know how they managed to do it, but they did. Now these two last season had a lot of incidents with Adam Echo. Now before I continue on about anything, I don't want to see any of that this season. I want a clean race. If I tell you now, if I see any instance like Timo and Scribble will agree with me on this, there's going to be harsh penalties this season if I see any instance like what I seen last season, because it was absolutely disgusting what happened last season. But moving on from that there, these two guys, if they cut out the whole instance with Adam Mako, I don't really think they're getting any instance whatsoever, because Synchronizer and Focky didn't really get many instances apart from the instance with Adam at the end of the season, which was a bit of a dampener to see. But I think these two will be fine. They are consistent. Synchronizer will probably be the better of the two of them, because Synchronizer's better on tires and better for strategy. Like Synchronizer can do some weird strategies, how people are just like, how the hell has he managed to do it? Like I think it was one race he took the soft tires. I can't remember what track it was, but I think he took them like 22 laps or so when they only were supposed to go like 16. He managed to take them 6 extra laps. I don't know how he managed to do it, but he did. And yeah, I think these two, I think Synchronizer will be, he'll be in the midfield, but I think Focky might just be a wee tiny bit lower than that. I don't know what they'll be like in this game, but based on last season, I would say Synchronizer has a wee bit of an edge on Focky, and I'd say Synchronizer's number 1 and Focky's number 2. But if the two of them manage to score top 10 performances and be consistent, you never know. They could finish maybe 5th or 6th in the constructors. You just don't know what's going to happen. But what about you, Timo? What are you thinking of?
Yeah, I also think Synchronizer has a little bit more pace in the Haas. Could be challenging for top 10 results. He could be safe midfield next season. As for Focky, I'm not sure if I see the overall lineups in Division 2. He could be, I'm very sorry I have to say this, he could be actually in a relegation fight for Season 7 next season. So it will be very tough for Focky. I hope he can prove me wrong. Synchronizer should be safe, but I think Haas overall in this Division 2 lineup is midfield if it's the best result. So maybe P7, P8 in the constructors. I'm not entirely sure, but I hope Focky can prove me wrong. But I have to see him there as a relegation candidate. As for 10K, we will move on to the next team in a bit. 10K as well, but yeah, I hope he can prove me wrong, as I said, and I wish them all the best. As I already mentioned, Renault is the next team where we have 10K and ILRT Meta. So 10K, I can't really say much about him. I think he was racing Division 4 last season as well, there with SJ Mella and Keon Trapp. He performed very well there, up the front in top 5s or podium positions. But I think it's time for relegation next season, because pace-wise, I think he's a little bit behind these guys. Maybe he's my pace. I'm not entirely sure, but we have to choose or select a few relegation candidates, and I think 10K is one of those. As for ILRT Meta, I think he will be there, safe, fighting for top 7s, top 5s. And I think maybe in a shout for promotion spot, I'm not sure, but he will be a top 10 candidate. What do you say about Renault then?
I think Renault's prefer is a strong lineup, and I do agree with what you said on Matter. I do think Matter will be a promotion candidate, but I kind of have to disagree with you on the 10Cat one. I actually do think 10Cat will actually perform really well next season. Like, don't get me wrong, like 10Cat, he doesn't come across as a quick driver, but he actually is, which is very strange to say, like, but he actually is. Like, he came into Division 3 last season and he actually scored a good handful of points. Like, I think he finished, I don't know where he finished the championship, he must have finished like 7th or 8th, or maybe even higher than that, and he only turned off, he was only there for like the last 6 or 7 races in Division 3, so he had a lot of catching up to do, but managed to actually perform really well. Like, he was scoring a couple of podiums and everything, like, and he was racing against like some me, not SJP, he was racing against me, SH, like Venom Splits, like, you know, and we're like, I'm not going to toot my own horn, like, but we're not slow drivers, like, and he was managing to keep up with us and scoring some podiums off us. Like, so, you know, he actually is a decent driver. So I don't know actually about that team. I don't know. I think 10 kit, it's a tough one because
It's a very tough one, yeah.
it is a tough one. But I think he might be alright. You know, I think he might be alright. But I do agree with you on what Matter says on Matter. I do think Matter will be fighting for promotion. I do think he will. He'll score a good load of podiums. I do think race wins. I'm not 100% sure. He might score a couple of race wins, but I'm not sure. Like, it's a bit of a tricky one. Like looking at these two, like, I do think these two are a very, very strong team, and I think they perform really, really well in the constructors. Not sure if they'll win it, but they'll perform really, really well. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's a very, very tough one between them two because they are quick, and it's just hard to actually place where they're actually going to finish. But we'll move on to Alfa Romeo, and this is basically just a returning partnership, or just for two returning drivers that are formed a partnership, which is Alibaba and Mark Demand. Now these two, I've raced with these two for years. Like, I know these two inside out in terms of racecraft. Like, I've raced with them so much. I've had a lot of beef with Mark Demand. Thankfully enough, that's all in the past. So we've moved on from that. Alibaba, haven't had too much with him. But yeah, everything's in the past now, and I can say to you now, Mark Demand and Alibaba are two very, very quick drivers. Mark Demand's very quick over one lap. His consistency, whenever I raced with him back in the day, his consistency wasn't the best. He was DNFing quite a lot, but I think now he's improved on the DNFing, and he is a quick driver. So I think Mark Demand could also be one of them ones that's fighting for top 10, not fighting for top 10s, he's fighting for like top 7s and all that. It's really tough to say. And Alibaba as well, like Alibaba and Mark, I'd say are matched in pace. I'd even say near enough they're matched on pace with me, because back in FIFA 6, not FIFA, what am I saying FIFA for? I don't even know why. In F1 2016, these two were my pace. 2017, I'm not 100% sure. 2018, I think I had a bit of pace in them because I don't really think they played the game as much. But I think if them two sweated the game quite a bit, I think they would be my level on pace. So I just don't know, Timo. I think these two could be. Personally, for me, I think these two will be a dark horse for constructors as well, because they are. If Mark Demand, as I said, focuses on the consistency, he's got the one lap pace. Focuses on the consistency, he's fine. Alibaba's quick and consistent. So as long as the two of them are consistent and quick, I think them two will be strong for the constructors. People may disagree with me, but that's just my honest opinion. But what about you, Timo? I don't really know know too much about them.
Yeah, those two drivers, as I know, are former Division 1 drivers as well, the early days of TMC. They used to be very quick there, and I'm very interested to see what they can do actually in this division. They will be well top 10 for sure. As you said, they will be the dark horses. As for me, another dark horse is Meta, I wanted to say. But for Alibaba and Mark Demand, I think they won't have anything to do with relegation. They will be safe in the midfield. I think they will be like P4, P5 in the constructors, and it's a very strong lineup. So they know how to race. I don't really have raced them in a battle or something, so I don't know what they are like. But I would be really happy if I could race them next season, and yeah, will be very interesting. And I'm very happy for them that they rejoined TMC. Yeah. As for the next team, we have the last team actually, the McLaren, which is Dan Morris, 96, and TMZ Jono. So these two decided to rebuild their partnership of Division 3 last season. As we know, Dan Morris is the current Division 3 champion. He's coming up. He got promoted as so for Jono. They're coming up in a higher division. And it was a very strong team last season, I have to say for myself. So they did very well. They did fight towards the front. Dan got a lot of race wins, podiums, very consistent as well. Team Jono helped a lot to bring home good points for Ferrari last season, and I think then you will be up there in contention for promotion. So you will be fighting there for a lot of podiums and top 5s, top 7s. As for Jono, he will be very well as well, fighting Wesker, Merck, there for top 5, top 7. So it will be so close. So the tiniest mistake in quali could cost you 3-4 positions. It's so hard to predict what will happen next season, but I think you two, a very great partnership, and I wish you all the best for Division 2. So what are your aims? What do you feel about the game, and what would you like to achieve with your team at next season?
Well, at the minute, I do appreciate the kind words as well, by the way. But at the minute, like I've only done a couple of laps around Canada, so I don't actually know at the minute what the pace is going to be like. But I'm hoping that what I really need to work on this season is the qualifying pace. I know for a fact that I know in myself I have the consistency, and I know I have the consistency at a good level. So if I can just find that qualifying pace, I can be consistently getting top 4, maybe top 5s in qualifying, maybe even a wee bit higher. Which with the race pace that I should have, it should be grand. But I just don't know. It's going to be an interesting one because people have says that I'm going to be the favourite going into next season, but I can't see it. I do honestly think Bert's going to be the favourite, and then I think I might have another battle with probably Kiersey, Kev, and SH. I think that could be, and maybe Matter as well. I think those will be the ones I'll be kind of fighting next season. I think I'll still be fighting Bert as well, but I think he'll just be a wee tiny bit up the road. But I just don't know what way it's going to work out. And as for Jono, yeah, me and Jono, we did continue the partnership from last season. Very good teammate. Spoke to him a lot in the party. Spoke to him a lot on WhatsApp and all. We exchanged setups. Said to each other how we can improve on each corners and all that. So communication strong. We won the constructors last season in Division 3. Yes, Division 3 and Division 2 this season are completely two different divisions. The level of drivers this season are going to be a lot higher. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do perform. But I do think me and Jono will be... I don't want to be too cocky, but I think me and Jono... I think we should be favourites for the constructors. But I just don't know what way it's going to form out because I don't know what Jono's pace is going to be like, and I still don't know what mine's going to be like because I need to do a lot more practice on it. And I'm telling you now, I'll be sweating this game quite a lot, so I should find pace. But I don't know. I think me and Jono should be favourite for the constructors, like because we'll both be consistently scoring top 5 performances. But as for me, my main aim this season is just to consistently get top 5s and then just see where it takes me at the start of next season and just see where it takes me towards the end of it. But that's all I can really say about it, and I just hope that the two of us perform really, really well next season. But the next one we'll move on to now is the final division, and that is Division 1. Now this is the...
Let me ask you a quick question before we move on to Division 1. If you had to select promotion and relegation candidates for Division 2 and 3, who would it be? Because it's so tough to select. So, but if you had to choose 3, or how many would get relegated, who would it be?
Right, so I'll do for Division 3 then, because we actually didn't do that there. I think winning the championship, I would say SJ Miller. I'd say second, if he puts the consistency up, would be Extrema, and I think third would be PFC Steve. I think in Division 3 anyway. I'm not sure if you'll agree with me on that there either.
It's tough. I just wanted your opinion there, but yeah.
And
maybe Extrema maybe in P3, P2. Caesar and PFC Steve as well. I think the consistency of PFC Steve could help him to be up there and maybe fight for promotion, so that could be it. And
then I'll answer your question as well about Division 2. I think Bert will win. I think it's a tough one. I think Bert will win. I think Matter will be second. I think Kev will be third, and I think I'll be fourth, and SJML is fifth, or not SJML, SH is fifth. I don't know if you'll agree with that there either, but I think that's what it'll be, or else I'll be. I think it's going to be definitely Bert and ILR Matter are going to be definitely the top 2. I think that for a fact, but I don't know if it's going to be me or Kiersey Kevin third or fourth. I don't know what way it's going to work out. But, and for relegation wise, honestly couldn't tell you. I think so far relegation wise it's going to be Synchronizer and Focky. I think that. But as for who else, I don't know. I couldn't tell you who's going to be the final relegation candidate. But what about you, Timo? What are you thinking of?
Yeah, I put a name in the back a few minutes ago, 10K. You disagreed, but I hope you can prove me wrong. But at this stage, I need to stay with 10K there, as I haven't seen much of him last month ago. Maybe Foggy as well. And as for a fact, maybe I don't hope it will be me, but it could be actually. It could actually be in a relegation fight. Maybe Tom Pretty. I'm not sure. It's so tough. So could be very, very tough there down there as for relegation. So 3 people go up, 3 people go down,
Yeah,
and I think it will go to the last race in every division because it's so close next season.
it will. But we also have to take into consideration as well the reserves next season as well. Like we haven't got it
Yeah,
on
that's true.
we haven't got it on the list, but I think the reserves I remember off the top of my head is Oshin is a reserve, Venom Splits is a reserve, and Clarity Balloons is also reserved for Division 2 as well. So that's 3. There's at least another 2 more, but I can't remember who they are off the top of my head. And then there's 1 or 2 reserves in Division 3. I know Richie's a reserve in Division 3, and then there's 1 or 2 all ones, so I can't remember who the hell they are. But yeah, so we all know because the reserves are also scoring points this season as well. So the reserves could take points off the big guys, and that could affect the championship and all too. So we just don't know what way it's going to work out, Timo. But at the minute, I'm looking forward to seeing how the whole thing's going to pan out because it looks like it's going to be very close between all divisions so far.
Absolutely.
And as we've done that, there we'll go on to the final division now, which is Division 1. We'll start off with the Mercedes guys, which is Kieran Trapp and TMC CR7, which is basically known as Kevin. So it's going to be an interesting one now because Kieran Trapp was Division 4 and was the Division 4 champion. And people are going to say that Kieran Trapp is going to be a relegation candidate, and he says that himself. Like, that's his problem. As I said, the same thing with Sway. That's Kieran Trapp's problem as well. He hasn't got the confidence in himself. But Kieran Trapp is very, very consistent. Like, Scuba will tell you that, Graham will tell you that, Matt will tell you that, Joe will tell you that, they'll all tell you that. Yes, they'll all even know that because he is consistent. He did win the Division 4 championship, like, and he won it by quite a bit. So he does have the consistency. Yes, Division 4 is a lot different than Division 1, but we don't know what his pace is going to be like. But I think if Kieran Trapp keeps the consistency up, I'm telling you now, I think Kieran Trapp might nip a couple of top 10s, and I think them couple of top 10s will help him if people are so-called saying he is going to be a relegation candidate. So we just don't know what way it's going to pan out, but I think if he does keep it clean, keep it consistent, just worry about himself, I think he will be alright. I think he might score a good few top 10 positions. And as for Kevin should be, I was going to say Kevin should be one of the favourites, but looking at the drivers in the lineup, it's so hard to say. Oh, I don't know. I think Kevin's going to be, he's definitely going to be in the top 10 every race, but where he's going to finish, I have absolutely no idea, because like, as we're going to go through the rest of the field, like, it's going to be absolutely mental as to who the hell is going to finish where. So I think these two, as long as these two are consistent and score points, they'll be fine for the constructors. But what about you, Timo? What do you think? Where do you think they'll finish?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused actually. Kieran Trapp sees himself as a relegation candidate. He's very quick, consistent. I think he will be fine next season actually. So top 10 or finish in P12, P13 in the overall standing. So I don't think he has something to do with relegation there. So build up your confidence, put in the practice, and I think you will be fine. As for Team C07, I've talked to him in a party a few days ago, and he sees himself in the midfield. If you see all this, the whole lineup, midfield, maybe top 7, top 6. I think he underestimates himself a little bit, as I said in my preview. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. It's for sure a very interesting lineup, and I think these guys will be fine for next season, the Mercedes. So I don't see any danger of relegation or something. So let's see what they can achieve.
Yeah, let's see what they can achieve is exactly right. But the next team, Timo, is Ferrari, so you can take it away, my friend.
It's Ferrari indeed, and we got Team C Scuba and Matt Tibbos there. Matt Tibbos CFC, and these guys are the constructors champions of last season of Division 1, so they did absolutely well. They're good friends. They have the pace. It's very hard to see or hard to predict who will be number 1 because these guys are pushing each other towards the limits. They always want to achieve the maximum. We know Scuba, he's a passionate driver. He kicks himself by the tiniest mistake. He is angry about time penalties, so he's really passionate and really loves to race in TMC, and that's what I like to see. And I'm really looking forward to our work together as co-admin. That's also a thing I wanted to say. So will be very nice as well. As for Matt Tibbers, he's very quick as well. He will be up there for top 5s, maybe challenge for podiums. As for quali pace, they will be in the top 10 for sure, top 5. So it's so hard to say. as we have a few other quick guys around these guys. And but I think they will be fine. In constructors, it will be P3, P4, and will be actually very good to see if they could defend their constructors title. That would be very good to see, but it remains to be seen there. So what do you think, Dan, about Ferrari?
I think you're right about what you're saying. I think they will definitely be consistent performers. Like Scuba says to me that he's going to be fighting for 8th and 9th places this season, but I honestly don't see it, because he is a quick driver. Because on the last game, like the level of performance that he went from, like I think 2017, he wasn't like start of 2017 compared to the end of 2018, like the massive pace difference that he had was absolutely unbelievable. Like I couldn't believe it, because in 2017 I would near enough say that in 2017 between me and him anyway, personally in pace, that it was a lot closer. But I think in 2018 he built out that gap on me. I'd say he built it by at least 3 or 4 tenths, and it's because he's always practicing, always pushing himself. He's always finding ways to make himself improve, and it's the same with Matt Tybus. Like Matt Tybus is he's gonna be. They basically are identical. Like as Scuba says in 5-lappers, whenever we race, they're like a clone. They're like clones. Like whatever Matt does, Scuba does. Whatever Scuba does, Matt does. They're always fighting each other on track in 5-lappers. I think them two will be hands down. It's going to be equal status between the two of them all season. I think two of them very consistent, very quick. The two of them would be 100%. They could near enough be fighting for top 5s most races. And I think in terms of constructors wise, seeing the constructors team so far, I think these two will finish 3rd in the constructors. I don't think they'll win it, because there is 2 or 3 other teams. There is 2 other teams out there that I do personally think myself are quicker. Maybe not as consistent, but they are quicker. But if all teams do work on their consistency, then they should. But if Scuba and Matt are consistent and quick, and the other teams aren't, you never know. Scuba and Matt could go back to back constructors championships. Just don't know what way it's going to work out. But I do think that the two of them will be fine this season, and I really hope that they can go for another constructors title, because they're very good to see.
Yeah, as for the next team, we got Red Bull, which consists of Porty and Konekina. As for Porty, he came up from Division 2 for next season. If I see the overall lineup again, I think Porty could be a back marker in Division 1, maybe one of the relegation candidates, I have to say for myself. Maybe midfield, fighting for points here and there, but it's a very strong lineup in Division 1, and I think Porty might not be on the pace in this top tier. I hope he can prove me wrong again, but it remains to be seen what he actually can do, how the game suits him, what he can do. He did very well in Division 2, don't get me wrong, but Division 1 could be a little bit too much, but it remains to be seen, as I said. As for Konekina, I just remember him having a few internet issues, disconnecting from sessions and problems joining sessions. I'm not sure. I hope he did sort that out for next season, and he is actually a very quick driver. I know him from the early days of Season 2, Season 3. He did very well, and if he can race again with a good internet connection, I think he could be up there also fighting for top 5s and podiums maybe. But I have no clue what he's like in the new game, so that needs to be seen as well. So what do you think about the Red Bull guys?
Yeah, it's an all-Irish lineup as well, Porty and Konekina, so hopefully they do the Irish proud. But I think you're right about Porty. Like I like Porty. Porty's a lovely fella and all, but I do think that he is probably going to be a back marker in Division 1, because like the level of driving in Division 1 is absolutely mental. So I think he will be a back marker, but you never know. He could surprise a lot of us. But as for Konekina, like I raced Konekina for a couple of seasons at TMC, and he was always fighting Beastas, who back then was literally the god of F1, because he was just unbelievably quick and very, very consistent. Nobody could really touch him. But Konekina, every time he raced, was giving him a good hell of a battle. And I think Konekina hasn't really raced on F1 much recently, because I just don't know why. I think it's because of his internet, but I think he's kind of sorting the internet issues out. They're not as bad as before. But I think if he does, like, I'm telling you now, if Konekina practices and sweats like absolute frig, he will probably be he will be fighting with, I think, 2 other drivers for the title this season, because Conor Keena, I am telling you now, like I've raised with him, and like the only other person I can really tell you how Conor Keena is Scuba. Like Conor Keena is absolutely rapid. If he gets his act together and sweats like absolute hell, he is absolutely rapid. So I think Conor Keena could be one of the dark horses for the title. But in terms of constructors, I think with Conor Keena fighting for the title and Paulie at the lower half of the field, I think they'll do okay in the constructors, but it'll be mostly Conor Keena scoring the points. But yeah,
Yeah, I have to agree.
you just never know what happens. But let's hope they do well, and let's hope Conor's internet is sorted out. But the next team is the Racing Point, and the Racing Point team is going to be Skeven and Perpetual Mobile. Now Perpetual Mobile, as we all know from the last game, he's really quick as well. Like I would say, like I was going to say Perpetual and Connor are sort of similar, but I would say Connor probably has the edge on Perpetual. And Connor's well, I'm not gonna call Perpetual a dirty driver, but he's aggressive. Like Perpetual will go for a move if he thinks it's there. But I think Perpetual this game needs to be aware of when and when not to make the moves, because he was caught in quite a few incidents last season and some drivers were not happy with the moves that he was making. So I just think he needs to pick his time. If there is a gap, or by all means go for it, but just make sure you don't hit anybody, and make sure that you have trust in the driver in front that he is not going to turn in or anything, because if you break an all driver's wing, you know for a fact they're going to be absolutely raging. But Perpetual Mobile he's very quick as well, and he is consistent, don't get me wrong, he is, and I think he'll be up there for the title as well. Like there's a good few drivers here that can't fight for the title, but I don't think Perpetual's the one that's looking out at me. Like there's three drivers that are shouting out at me. Perpetuum's just behind that. So I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting one. And as for Skeven, like Skeven's returning. Skeven's very, very quick. He was in, what was it? We were doing a championship the other day. I think it was a last man standing with it, and it was him and Scuba fighting for the final, in the final race, just 1-on-1. And to be fair, Scuba put a hell of a battle up against him, don't get me wrong, but then Instant just absolutely jeopardised the whole final, and friggin' I think Scuba ended up winning it. So, but that's because Skeven slowed down. But I don't know, Skeven looks like he still hasn't really lost the pace much. So I think Skeven's going to be fighting around the likes of Scuba, Matt. I think he'll be fighting around that sort of area at the minute anyway. So I think these two will be, they'll be like Matt and Scuba. I think them two will be consistently in the top sevens every race, scoring big points. So I do think these two will be, maybe could be a wee shout out for constructors as well. I just don't know. I just don't know what way it's going to pan out. But what about you, Timo? What do you think?
Yeah, I remember Skeven also as a very rapid driver a few seasons ago. I don't know much about his consistency and stuff. That still needs remain to be seen. But as you said, I think he will. His main rivals will be Scuba and Matt. Maybe for top 5 position in the final standings. So I think if he's still rapid and consistent, also in quali and in the race, he will be very good. Maybe for me, as I don't know him that good, for me personally, a dark horse. So, but I think he would be well in front of a few guys there in the top 10, top 7s, top 6, as you said. As for Perpetual Mobile, yeah, he really needs to sort out his driving sometimes. Is battling, maybe he's a little bit too impatient, going for moves where you shouldn't have gone for it. Yeah, spinning other people around. Yeah, that's not the best thing to race others on track. But he is very quick, don't get me wrong. He was runners-up last season, I think. Is that true? Was right around Carlsberg last season?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe this season, if you see the lineup again, he might be top 5, top 7 in the overall standing, as we have a very sweaty Division 1 next season. So, but Perpetual Mobile should be fine. But I still hope he is a much cleaner driver next season. As for the Williams guys, we got Cloney 2 and Darren Sinclair, and I tell you now, that lineup is very, very interesting. So, Cloney 2, sweating the game since Friday, I think, and he's testing some setups and his pace, quality, time trials, all that stuff. And he's racing in a German league with me, and I tell you now, he's really quick. and one of the favorites. I think I told we spoke to each other, and he told me he wants to win that title. But I see him in the top 3 at least. So if he's consistent and rapid at the same time, I think he's the dark horse for the Division 1 title, I have to say for myself. As for Dan Sinclair, we know him as well. He's very quick, consistent as well. He's a clean driver, one of the cleanest in TMC. Always fair, gives space to other drivers next to him. It's really a pleasure to watch him racing, and I also see him in the top 7, at least top 10 result next season in the standings. So these guys, yeah, should be up there in the constructors, maybe in the top 3 for constructors for the Williams team. What do you think, Dan? Do you agree, or do you have another opinion?
I agree with you 100% about Cloney. Cloney is very, very, very quick, but nobody really knows Cloney's racecraft. That's the only thing. So we'll not know how consistent Cloney actually is until this season. But he has sweated the game since Friday, and I'm looking like, I know TT doesn't really mean much, but he is like top 5 in the TT leaderboards. But I know there's not that many people racing at the minute, so I can't really say too much about it. But he is a very, very quick driver. And as for Darren Sinclair, Darren's quick, he's consistent. Like, what more do you want? Darren Sinclair, you can always guarantee that he's going to be a man that's going to get you top 5 finishes. So, looking at this team, I think this team personally is going to be favourites for the constructors. I think it will, because with Darren Sinclair's consistency and the fact that he's really quick, and with Cloney being quick, if he is consistent too, like this could be near enough an unstoppable team. Like, these two could just be banging in top 5s every race, like the two of them in the top 5, and if it's at that, then the two of them are just going to absolutely run away with the constructors. But I don't really think it is going to be like that, but I still think that they will get the edge over the rest of their competitors and will win the constructors. So it's going to be interesting to see. And as for Cloney looking in the TMC title, I don't know. I don't think so, because I have my eye on a different driver that I think will win it, but I'll come to that at a later stage. But I don't think Cloney will win it. I think Cloney will be top 5, don't get me wrong, he'll be top 5, but I don't think he'll win it. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how it is. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be Williams wrapped up, and the next team is going to be Toro Rosso, which is going to be again F1 Alonso and Hero Joking. Them two friends, know each other very well. Nothing really more you can say about them. They're both quick, they're both consistent. I think F1 Alonso would be fine. I think he'd be top 10s, maybe fighting maybe the lower half of top 10. I don't think he'd be quick enough to fight for top 5s, but he'd be fighting for top 10s. Hero Joking, he is quick, don't get me wrong, but I think he'll just be outside the top 10. So I don't know what way this is going to work now between these two. It'll be interesting now with these and the constructors. I think F1 Alonso will consistently score points. As what many points he scores, I don't know. But Hero Joking, I think he will be outside the top 10, but I don't think he'll be a relegation candidate, because I think he will score a few points over the season to get himself out of it. So I think them two will be fine. And in terms of constructors, they'll finish probably P8, P7, something like that, because they will score a handful amount of points. So that's all really I can say about them team. And what about you? Do you agree with me, or yeah, different opinion?
Yeah, I agree in terms of Hero Jokin. I think he is a midfield runner, but I don't think he has to do anything with relegation. I think he will score the points here and there, maybe a few races or most of the races slightly outside of the top 10. If he has strong races, he has the pace. So maybe top 6, top 7 result would be nice for him. As for F1 Alonso, I have to slightly disagree there. As we know, he's running no assists. His driving is fantastic, so he's a very clean driver, and he also got the pace if he has the right setup. So he's consistent as well, and yeah, really practices a lot. And I think he could be up there for top 5, top 7 results on his strong races. So as for constructors, you said P7, P8. So for me, I think they achieve a P5, P6 because they did very well last season as well. They are a strong team, and let's see what they can do overall. So really interested to see. Yeah. As for the next team, sorry, you wanted to say it?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. So the next team is the Haas, Carlsbad 2001 and Dark Bolt. Carlsbad is the last, or the current Division 1 champion. Yeah, he ran away pretty quickly at the beginning of the race, to mid-season. Towards the end, he didn't get the results he did in the first half of the season, but it was enough to secure the Division 1 title. So we know he's very sweaty. He's a time trial merchant as well, as we know. He's very quick in quali. As for the race, he struggles a little bit, and I think the point we don't have Ballas anymore didn't or won't suit him well. I'm not sure, but let's leave it there. For Dark Bolt, I think he is a midfield runner in Division 1 as well next season, scoring a few points here and there. But as a relegation, I think he has nothing to do with that. I think he would be a decent midfield runner. What about you?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't think Carlsbad will win the championship this season. I think actually,
Yes,
I actually
same.
think Carlsbad actually might be a midfield runner as well. I think because I know Ballast and all helped last season. It's the same with Dark Bolt. I think me personally, I think Dark Bolt's going to struggle this game because the Ballast helped him so much last game. In terms of his pace, I think he'll struggle this game with it, and I think it's the same with Carlsbad. Like Carlsbad won the Division 1 championship last season, but that was because he absolutely had a storm in the first half of the season. Nobody could even touch him. But in the second half of the season, Carlsbad really didn't do much. Like Carlsbad was losing races, he wasn't scoring high points. Like there was a load of different winners in the second half of the season, and Carlsbad wasn't really getting that many wins. So I think this season, Carlsbad, I want to say he's going to be battling for a few top tens, but I'm not 100% sure. I just think by the way the lineup's going, and I just think drivers are so much more quicker and so much more consistent than what Carlsbad is that I don't think he would be consistently in the top 10. People may disagree with me on that, but I don't think he would be. As for Dark Bolt will score a couple of top 10 finishes, but I think he would be a midfield runner. He'd be like 13th, that sort of stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. But do you agree with that, Timo, or what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree here. I have to agree. With Dark Bolt, midfield runner, maybe fighting for P9s, P10s, or maybe if you have a chaotic race with a safety car, maybe he can benefit from that. So maybe he has to take the chance when he gets it and maybe get a top 5 somewhere when we have something happening crazy. We don't know. Carlsbad, I'm not entirely sure. He's the Division 1 champion, but as you mentioned, the ballast could suit him not that good. So it remains to be seen, but I still see him as a top 7 driver. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that 100%.
As for the next team, we've got the Renault, and there is Team Z Cowboy and Team Z JHT, who's also known as John Hammond Terry. So first of all, fair play to Team Z Corby, who's taking the challenge, going up to the big boys, the top tier, and race there. He, since I'm watching races in Team C, I think Team Z Cowboy is the man who improved the most over the course of a couple of seasons, the last 6 seasons. So that's very good to see how he has improved, how he has managed to get better and just improve the pace. Graham, I think you as well, and Scuba helped him a lot to sort out his a little of driving, how he drives, other things, techniques, how to drive, and that's very good to see. To see him where he is now, that's very fantastic to see. But as for Division 1 next season, I think he is a relegation candidate. I'm sorry, Joe, I like you, but I think you will be down there in the last 3 spots of Division 1 after 21 races. But I hope you can prove me wrong. You have good pace, if you have good pace in the new game. So please show it. As for Team Z, JHG, we all know him. He's very sweaty every game. He has been and he will be as well next game. So John will be there fighting for top 5s and podiums. I see him up there at the front of Division 1 and maybe a dark horse for the title in the driver standings. I'm not entirely sure, but it could be a good shout at him. As for the Renault guys, as for Team Z, JHT bringing home most of the points. Team Z Corby maybe scoring. I hope he can score points, the rates here and there. But as for the overall situation for the Renault boys, I think the team will be around P7, P8, sorry. So let's see how that goes. And Dan, would you disagree or agree on that one? It's tough to say, very tough to say.
It is a tough one to say because, like, yes, people are going to look at it and say TMC Cowboy, as I'm just going to basically call him Joe, is basically going to say that Joe is going to be a relegation candidate. But I'm telling you now, if Joe gets the guidance from like Scuba, Graham, myself, Matt, like I'm telling you now, I think Joe could be. I don't think Joe would be a relegation candidate. I don't think he would get relegated. I think he'd be in the relegation zone, but I think he will score a good few points. I think he will score bottom half top tens, couple of races a season, which will get Joe probably out of the relegation zone, because I think this game is gonna be so different at who's gonna be top 10 and who isn't. So I think if Joe can get his act together, I think the first couple of races are going to be vital for Joe's season. If Joe can if Joe can get a couple of points in the first couple of races, he should be okay to avoid relegation. But if he doesn't, he's gonna have to play serious catch up. And when Joe is getting pressure on him, he cracks under, which is the problem that he has done. What Joe needs to really do is, and we've told him this before, is just focus on himself and don't worry about anybody else, because Joe sometimes does feel a bit of pressure and then he does make mistakes, which is a bit of a downfall. But I don't know, I think Joe will score points and will not get relegated, but he will be in the relegation zone. He'll be fighting with some of them lads that are going to be fighting for relegation, but I don't think he will get relegated. I think he'll be good enough to get out of it. And as for JHT, I'm just going to say this now, if John absolutely sweats the goddamn hell out of this game, John's going to win that title. Out of a shadow of a doubt, he is, because John, like, I've raced many drivers, but John on his absolute day is an absolute friggin' flying machine. Like, I just like Beastas. I've raced Beastas, and Beast is a very freaking quick driver. Like, don't get me wrong, and I still think if like John, if I had a chance to race Beastas back then, or John, who would I be more scared of? Sorry. Of Beastas back then in 2016, or John Heventuri, like last game, the game like 2017, and maybe even this game, I'd pick John Heventuri, because John Heventuri, like, if John's internet does not mess up, John is consistent, doesn't really get in many instances. It's just hard to say, because he always qualifies in the top 3, and John is very, very good race pace. Like, I've done a lot of practice sessions with John, and I know how John races, like. And John's very quick, but I think if John sweats the absolute hell out of this game, he will win the championship. So John is going to be my personal favourite for the championship for this season, but he will be closely followed by a few other drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see. But what about that team? Would you agree about John Heventuri? Oh, I know you did say about he's going to be 4th, 5th. Do you think maybe he could actually have a chance, if he sweated like hell, to actually win the championship?
Yeah, fair play. It's a good shout. What did I say? I said it's a dark horse for the championship.
Yeah.
But maybe you can say it a little bit better. You have more experience as you race with him in the early days in the early Division 1. So, but I just have a overall look at the lineup, and I wouldn't say he's the absolute favorite. He can prove me wrong again, but he's in a shout for the title. Don't get me wrong. I think he can fight for the title, but I don't think he will dominate it. So but it's a good shout, so fair play to him. So
yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I don't think he will dominate it, but I think he will get a good handful of race wins, which will help him, because like John, there's no chance this season that John Heventuri is going to go without winning a race this season. There's absolutely no chance in hell that that's going to happen. He is going to pick up race wins. I don't know if he'd pick up a lot of race wins, but he will pick up race wins. But John is very consistent. Like, John will always be top 5s. Like, I'm saying, John will be top 5 every race. Like, that's a guarantee. If he turns up, he will be, because He's just consistent and all, but whether that's good enough to win the title, I don't know. But me personally, I think he will win it. But you have a different opinion, so it's going to be interesting to see how that actually pans out. So it's just going to be an interesting one. And as you said about the constructors as well, I think, as you did say, it is going to be John that is going to pick up a load of points. Like, I mean, Joe, I'm not going to say that Joe's going to be like carried. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way, like, but he is going to be carried like quite a bit, because John's going to be scoring all them high end points, and Joe's going to be just getting the wee scrapes at the bottom of the top 10. But it's still, to be fair, still credit. Like, Joe's going to be still trying to go there and pick up a couple of points in the top 10. Like, for all you know, a safety car could even help Joe, because I remember my very first race winning TMC. Well, before it was taken off me, but I'm still counting as a race win. Like, I wasn't the quickest on that field. No way in hell was I the quickest. But the safety car in Australia helped me, and I managed to hold everybody off and win the race. Like, for all you know, that could happen to Joe this season, and Joe could put up a massive surprise win that nobody would ever think of. But you just never know what's going to happen. But that's going to be it for Renault, and I really hope that the two of them actually do perform well this season and are actually very, very consistent, because I'd love to see it. But the next team is going to be the Alfa Romeo, because we need to pretty much wrap this stream up, because we've been talking for nearly 2 hours now.
That's true.
So Alfa Romeo is going to be Afri Frisch and Tekipa. Now, it's going to be an interesting one, because me personally, I think Afri Frisch is Tekipa's quicker than Afri Frisch, and Afri's probably going to kill me for saying this, but I think Afri's going to be one of the relegation candidates, and he's probably going to absolutely kill me for it, but I think he is. Like, Afri is Division 1 pace, but with the drivers that I've said before in this, I think he'd be in the relegation zone. I think Afri will be fighting with the likes of Joe and all, but I think Afri's quicker than Joe, don't get me wrong. But I just think it's going to be interesting, because Afri might miss a few races. I know Joe will turn up every week, and if Joe turns up every week and Afri misses a few races, Joe could score points in them races, which means Afri has to catch up, and catching up in this division is going to be very, very hard. So it's going to be interesting. But if you were to do like a head-to-head between the two of them, I would say Afri would beat Joe. But I don't know, like, Afri would be in the relegation zone. Whether he get relegated or not, as I said the same about Joe, I'm not sure who will get relegated. But it'll be interesting to see. And as for Tekipa, I think Tekipa's quick, don't get me wrong, but I think Tekipa will also be fighting for like the 13th, like the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th position in the tables. He might scrape a good few top 10s as well, but I think he'll be regularly featuring top 12th, 13th, 14th, all that. Like, he is quick, but it's just because the drivers in this division are quicker, I just think it's going to be hard. But no disrespect to the two of them, like, they're both very, very good, very, very clean drivers, like, and the both of them will turn up. But it's just hard to say, because you have to choose a few people who you think it's going to be, and I just think it's going to be them two. But what about you, Timo? I know you know these two better than two better than me. So what do you think?
We are good friends, also to German friends. First, I have to say they did very well last season in Division 2. They got well deserved promoted to the top tier. But as you said, it's a higher level of driving pace wise. So as for the keeper, I think he will be fighting for top 10 results, for P7s till to top P10s. Afri Frisch, it's an important point you mentioned. If he misses a few races and struggles to get points, maybe top of the P9s, P10s, then he could be a relegation candidate. Afri Frisch, maybe fighting for P15, P7, P16, P17 in the overall standings. As for the keeper, I think, as you said, you nailed it there as well. P11 towards P15 maybe. But I think the keeper won't have anything to do with relegation. But I think Afri could be a shout as a relegation candidate if he misses a few races as well. But as I said to a few others, I hope he can prove me wrong. These guys absolutely deserve driving in Division 1 next season. And as for the Alfa Romeo team, they might be P8, P9. What do you think about constructors?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that 100%. I think they'll be P8, P9. They might I don't. It's hard to say because P8, P9, like, but who's going to be the last team then in the
It was
constructors?
the last team. That's
Is
the question.
that's the problem. Like, I don't know. I think me personally, I think they'll be ninth or 10th because I know for a fact that the keeper is going to. I think the keeper's missing a few races because I think he did tell me before, so that's going to play a massive dampener on their constructors. But I do think they will be the bottom. They probably will be the bottom team, but
yeah,
they'll
that's
not.
true.
They'll not be the bottom team due to pace. It'll probably just be because they're missing a few races and they've lost a good handful of points that it's hard to pick back
Yeah.
up. But
That's a true point. Yeah.
yeah, I just don't know what way it's going to work out. But me personally, I think they will be the bottom team. They'll be either 10th or 9th. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll pretty much crack on then with the last team before we wrap this whole stream up. The last team is going to be Technique Racing, as he's called, but I think he's changed his name now to NSX Valtteri. I think that's what his name is. I apologise if I got it wrong. And then the return of Medium Pilot. Now everybody knows what Medium Pilot's like. Medium Pilot is an absolute sweat and is fantastic one lap pace, but his consistency in the race is not the best. So I think Medium Pilot personally will score the most pole positions, but in terms of race wins, I don't think he will because I think his race pace lacks a bit more than his qualifying pace, which is why I think John Heventuri will have a better chance of beating Medium Pilot. I think Medium Pilot will be second in the overall standings. With me personally, I think John will win, and then I think if Connor Keane sweats, he'll be closely followed in third, or else he'll jump Medium Pilot. I don't know what way it's going to work out between the two. It's going to be between Connor and Medium for second place. I think John will just have the wee tiny edge up at the top, but I don't think he'll not win by much. Like, believe me, it's going to go down to Abu Dhabi. Don't get me wrong, every division is going to go down to Abu Dhabi, but it's just going to be interesting to see. And as for Technique came in last season. Nobody really knew much about him, and he actually pulled in very, very good performances. And Technique is a quick driver as well, but I don't know if he was quick because of the ballast. I know Medium Pilot was quick because of the ballast, but whether that ballast now has been removed, is he going to be as quick on this game? We just don't know. But if he is still quick on this game, then he will probably score most pole positions because he is an absolute sweat. Cloney could also score the most pole positions because he's been sweating like frick as well, and he really needs to focus on his race pace. But Technique gaming, I think Technique will be fine. He'll score top 10s most races. If not, he'll be outside, just a wee tiny bit outside the top 10. He'll not be in relegation fight. And these two for the constructors, I think these two will be second or third in the constructors. So I don't know if they'll win it, but I think they'll be second or third, and that's pretty much going to wrap McLaren up for me. What about you, Timo? What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree as well. Technique and Medium Pilot will be a strong team next season. The McLarens will be, I have to agree, P2, P3 in the standings. Medium Pilot, he used to be very quick, he is very quick, and he still will be very quick next season. I don't know much about his consistency. I know he's very quick in one lap pace, but in the race he could drop a little bit down due to not having the balance anymore, maybe, as sweating in time trial and stuff. Technic gaming was very decent as well. He is not the cleanest, he needs to sort out a little bit of driving, was involved in a little bit of incidents last season. But his pace is very good. He will be fighting for top 5, top 7s in my opinion. Will be up there, I think, with let's see, Matt, Scuba, Alonso, I think. So that will be very interesting to see what they can do. But they will fine. I'm not sure if they can win the constructors, as you said, but they will be very well up there at the front fighting with the Williams guys and the, let's see, the Racing Point guys. It will be very close, so hard to predict. If I have to choose my relegation candidates, maybe Pordy. I have to apologize, Pordy, but maybe you will be getting relegated or being in a relegation fight. Effrey, the keeper, the keeper now, he's a little bit more pace, but Effrey, if he misses a few races, he could be down there as well. Pace-wise, he is midfield, but let's see what he can do. And the last relegation candidate, well, it's very hard to predict. I said Joe, I stick with that at the moment, so maybe Joe can prove me wrong as well. So I think Joe, Effrey, and Porty could be my bottom 3 candidates. As for the title in Division 1, You did a very good shout then. John Henry Terry will be up there for sure, fighting there with Conor Keener, Cloney as well. So I think it's between these three guys, favorites for the title. Closely behind, I see Matt and Scuba. Medium pilot in the mix as well. So Skeven, Perpetuum, it's so close. So from P3 downwards in the whole top 10, it will be a huge threat next season. I think Team C07 is a dark horse as well. He can perform very well if he gets his stuff together. So he should be in the mix as well in the top 10. So then that's it. Let's see how all unfolds next season. We have 3 relegated candidates, 3 promoted candidates. Will be very interesting. I will be commentating Division 3, maybe some races of Division 1 as well with TMC Wesker. So thanks for that as well, Wesker, for joining me then. And yeah, then what can I say? It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap up this absolutely long stream. It must have lasted near an hour and 45 minutes. We do apologise for talking so much absolute.
Yeah.
we do apologise for talking absolute shite, but you know we had a lot of opinions to say, and I hope all these did. I hope the ones that did stay towards the end of it actually did appreciate the opinions I was saying, and were actually right by what we said. But it's just our opinion, like, you know, prove us wrong next season. That's all you can really do. But yeah, that's before we wrap it up. I think what's going to happen next season is going to be, I think, in terms of people, people are not going to know who's going to be commentating next season. I think next season, if Timo's free, I think it'll be him and Wesker. So far, from what I know, we'll either do Friday or Monday. I'll be about some Mondays this season, so I will probably do a couple of streams if I'm about. So I should be there. But if not, it'll be Timo and Wesker. Timo and Wesker will probably do Friday if they're both available to do it, because for Division 3. And Division 2, I'm going to see if Offrey and the Keeper are still free to do that, because them two will not be racing in Division 2, so they can easily do Division 2 on a Tuesday. That's if they're free. If they're not free, then we're pretty much screwed for a stream then. So, you know, we're gonna have to just wait and see. Don't worry, me and Timo and all will have a discussion with the commentators and see what we can come up with. And yeah, that pretty much just wraps it up for me and Timo. So we do hope that you did enjoy it, and once again we do apologise for keeping you all this time, because we know you're probably looking to sweat F1. But that's it from me and Timo. Any last words?
Yeah, guys, so thanks for watching. It was a very long stream. Thanks for watching till the end, if you did. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, share us your opinion if you agreed or disagreed with me or Dan. Let's discuss in the chat. It will be very interesting to read what you actually think about the new season, what your aims are, what you expect. Do you think you overachieve, or what do you think about the game? Just tell us your feelings and your opinions, your thoughts with the game. And I'm really looking forward to the debut race, Division 3, the first race of Season 7, with Team Wesker and me in the booth. I can't wait till lights out in Australia, and until then, see you there, keep it safe, and keep racing.
That's exactly it. So we will see you all later. And before we actually cut it off, I must say that if there's going to be probably a practice race next Tuesday, because I want to see if online's working. If online is working, the first race will be Division 1 on the 8th of July. That's if online is working. If online is working, we're going to kick it off straight away. 8th of July could be the very first race of the 2019 season in TMC, which is Season 7. So we all do hope that the online's working, there's no bugs, that we can crack on with the season, because we're all pretty much looking forward to racing. And if so, join us again probably next Tuesday, when there probably might be a stream. I'd probably end up either streaming a race, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, but there will be a race next Tuesday, practice race, and then after that there could be the start of the new season. So we do hope that you all enjoy it, and I hope all was here for the full season, and all the drivers that are racing. Wishes all the best of luck for the season. Let's have a clean one, not many incidents, because I really don't want to hand out about 20-second time penalties for absolutely no goddamn reason. So just keep it clean, keep it consistent, and we'll see you all then.